Welcome to Bahrain in general and the Rashid Equestrian Club in particular. Despite having a population of fewer than 2 million, Bahrain has one of the oldest racing jurisdictions in the Middle East, and they've been in action here since right back in 1977. Today is one of their biggest race days of the year. It's the Bahrain Derby and also the very valuable Gold Cup, which is staged as the final race on the 7-event card. We're here to sample what it's all about. Bahrain's only racetrack is situated at the centre of the island, some 20 minutes drive from the capital, Manama, and next door to the F1 circuit, which hosted the Bahrain Grand Prix just a week before our visit. They're all about the turf racing here at the Rashid Equestrian Club, which I suppose keeps it a little bit in common with Abu Dhabi. Both circuits are, of course, right-handed and do have their primary tracks on the turf, although here is much bigger. We're on the outer circuit right now, one of two that they have here, and this is 2,400 metres round, so quite a test of the thoroughbred, and I imagine it's a track that takes quite a bit of riding. Racing on the island was initially privately run, until a decree in 1977 made the Rashid Equestrian Club the only official racing authority in the country. Despite some good prize money, small fields were the order of the day, which didn't stop long-standing trainer Jimmy Naylor collecting a double, including the featured Bahrain Derby with Miss Orr, who was coaxed home in front by British-based jockey Andrew Elliott. The race was for 4-year-old local breds, one of a few issues on which we sought clarification from track facilities manager Neil Mackenzie-Ross, who was keen to tell us how it all works. So tell me what you've been up to in the last years, because since we were here last year it all looks very smart. You've obviously been working hard.
Thanks, Laura. Yeah, we've done a lot. We've put a new irrigation system in, and we've built a quarantine unit, which we opened in November, and along with the irrigation system we've put a new pump house in. We've done a big project on the grandstand and a lot of work on the track as well, so I've been pretty busy for the last 18 months.
You're racing every week here on turf. It must be very hard to keep conditions as you would wish.
Yeah, it is. Every Friday from early November through till the end of April, so 26 meetings every week. But fortunately, the grass has been growing nicely over the last couple of months. So we move the rail a lot. We've got the movable plastic rail, so it's particularly on the bend where the nature of the bend, the horses make more of a mess there. So I move the rail a lot and try and get them on the best ground possible.
How does it work? Because we see 7 races here today, some Arabian races, some thoroughbreds. How is sort of race planning done?
Yeah, the general split, is we have races for imported thoroughbreds and races for local thoroughbreds, so horses that have been bred here, and then Arabian race horses as well. So generally 3, sort of half and half, maybe 3 imported races, 3 local bred races, maybe that's 4 and 2 sometimes, and then always 1 Arabian horse race as well.
And around 300 horses in training. I mean, there must be a certain pressure. It must be quite hard to fill the races sometimes. Yeah,
I mean, we are averaging about 8 or 9 runners in every race. As I say, 26 meetings, so 7 races on our card. So 8 or 9, we've got to be pretty happy with that.
Can anyone own a horse here? Could I pitch up with a horse? Is it confined to locals? How does it work?
Yeah, it is confined to Bahraini owned horses. But who knows how things will progress in the future? We'll see.
That's what I was going to ask you, because you mentioned the new quarantine barns. Is that an ambition of the club to maybe host international races one day?
Yeah, hopefully. As you say, we've certainly got the facility there now. So let's see what happens. But that's certainly my aim.
الخامس حتى الآن ريسنج هو اللي يتصدر السباق بفارق طول.
Racing is narrated by young commentator Mansour Tarani, who expertly mixes English and Arabic in calling all 7 races, which are run at just 25-minute intervals. With a 600-metre straight, the course takes a bit of riding. So we asked 3-time champion jockey and dual UAE champion Brett Doyle just how he does it. So Brett, tell us what it's like riding here, because you've been a multiple champion here and very, very successful. What's it like to be based here?
Yeah, good. It's a nice place to be, and it's quite relaxed, but the racing's good, competitive among the locals,
And what's the track like to ride? Because it seems quite a stern test to me.
Yeah, it's a big galloping track. It's fair. There's no excuses really. 90% of the time the best horse will win.
Okay. And the sort of grade of horse over here, they seem to mainly focus on the thoroughbreds, which is nice and somewhat unusual for the Middle East.
Yeah, it is. The Arabians are purebred Bahraini Arabians, so they have the one race for them. There probably wouldn't be enough of them to have a lot of races. They concentrate on the thoroughbreds, the local breds, which is two main stables, which of one's ours. And there's a lot of imports, which the imports are getting better and better every year.
Yeah, I've seen that, and they buy a lot in from Europe, and I think prices are quite high. It's quite difficult to get the good ones, I imagine.
Yeah, since they put the prize money up a bit last year, it's getting more competitive. They're buying more expensive horses, and the races are good, you know. The cup races are very competitive now.
You're a three-time champion jockey over here. How competitive is it? I know you're with a big stable, but to get rides and in the jockey's room, how difficult is that?
Yeah, you get the jockeys coming over from Qatar most weeks now. Now the racing's a bit better. It's competitive enough with the European jockeys that come over. A couple of the local jockeys are doing well. They claim 6 kilos, 3 kilos, which is handy, you know. But I've got a big stable, so I expect to be where I am, really.
You used to ride in Dubai. We still see you there quite often. You're a former UAE champion jockey. Are there any comparisons between maybe the UAE earlier on and here now?
Yeah, I always say that Bahrain reminds me a lot of Dubai in the 90s, in the early 90s. It's relaxed like Dubai was then, before it was built up. Dubai's come a long way since the 90s.
Do you see yourself staying here for the foreseeable?
Yeah, I'll be here. I'm expecting to be back next year, and we'll take it year by year, yeah.
Happily, Brett added another to his tally that afternoon. But in the end, the big race plaudits went to another familiar face. They saved the best until last here because the 2,000 metre Grade 1 Bahrain Gold Cup is up next. We've got 8 declared runners, and the favourite, if there were an international market, would be Field of Fame. He's trained by Alan Smith, he won well last time, and he's ridden today by Frankie Dettori, who has jetted in for his one mount of the day. Surely that's a tip in itself. Unfortunately for the fans who crowded around the parade ring to see him, Frankie only managed second on Field of Fame, who was beaten by the Fawzi Nash-trained Sameen, ridden by Stefan Ladaj. Sameen, who originally raced in the UK for Luca Kamani and Sheikh Mohammed Obeid Al Maktoum, ran twice without success at Maidan's Carnival, but has finally come good back at home for Fawzi, who we caught up with at his yard the following day. Biggest name in Bahrain racing has to be Fawzi Nass, who's been good enough to give us a tour of his facilities this morning. You've got horses everywhere. It's amazing, this place.
Yeah, we seem to have horses in a lot of places. But yeah, this is actually my base in Bahrain. We've got about, as you've seen, about 75 horses on the premises, so they keep me busy.
Fawzi has all the mod cons you would expect of a top trainer. And recently, he's extended his talents outside of just racing. You've also got a bit of a breeding programme, stallions and mares and a couple of foals.
Yeah, because half of the races are for local breds in Bahrain, for thoroughbred local breds. So to get your hands on a few local breds, you've got to breed them yourself. That's why we've got about 10 mares and some stallions, obviously, to breed.
And of course, you've also got a stud and an operation in England and an operation in Dubai. How do you keep tabs on everything?
Well, it's delegation, I suppose. We've got the right people. I would like to think the right people everywhere, and everything seems to be going smoothly in an organised fashion. Which makes life easier a bit.
Krypton Factor takes the lead, forges clear of Rocket Man and Lucky 9, and there's number 1 for Bahrain at the World Cup meeting. When
Krypton Factor won at the World Cup, that was a huge moment for you and for Bahrain racing. Is that something you're sort of trying to do consciously or subconsciously, sort of promote it a bit?
Well, yeah, it's been a while since we've had that big win, so we're probably getting desperate to get another one again on the board. But yeah, it was a nice win, obviously, for Bahrain and for myself, which was in 2012. It would be good to have another one soon.
I guess it's going to help now that there's no restrictions on moving horses out of here. You can race horses in Dubai, which you couldn't do a couple of years ago.
No, we did have restrictions for 2 or 3 years. That's over now, and obviously we're allowed to import and export freely. So it's a big help. definitely a big help now.
Apart from the ones you're breeding yourself, where are you sort of looking for the next superstar? Obviously, the sales over in Europe. Are you looking to America at all?
Well, yeah, I've been buying yearlings from America, which is obviously the place if you're looking for a dirt horse to go to Dubai in the future. And I attend most of the European yearling sales as well, in France and England and Ireland. So we're always looking. Always looking. Whether we succeed or not is a different question, of course.
Next year's Dubai operation, will it be sort of run along the lines this year, or will you have more horses? I know it's early days.
Well, Dubai, as you know, is very competitive, so we're always trying to be selective with the right type of horses to go to Dubai, just so we're not wasting anybody's time, including my time, I suppose. But yeah, we're hoping to get a good bunch again for next year, about half a dozen of them, which would, if they're competitive enough, they should be the right number.
You won the big race here yesterday. I mean, how important is it to win the big races here vis-a-vis winning in England and Dubai? I mean, what sort of pleasure does that give you?
Well, of course, being my base, Bahrain, so it's very important to aim for these biggest races. And yes, luckily we managed to win the Gold Cup yesterday, which was good, especially when you beat Frankie in second place. So we're always hoping to win or be competitive in those big races.
And do you ever see a possibility that Bahrain racing maybe here would stage a bit of an international race, or do you think there's any scope for that?
I think the scope is there. Obviously, we're still there's improvements going on, every year now. Luckily, to the High Committee, who are, I think, down the line we will see an international race of some level, but we're probably not ready for that yet. I can see that happening in a couple of years or so.
And will you try and encourage maybe some of your fellow trainers here to compete their horses elsewhere, obviously, if they've got good enough ones? Absolutely,
yes. I mean, a lot of the trainers here are obviously very enthusiastic about the sport, and they've always got their eyes out on races in the UAE and Dubai, mainly Dubai, but then Qatar as well, the international races. So yes, it wouldn't be that difficult to attract them into Dubai, but obviously they need the right horse or the caliber of horses to take down. But it's definitely on their spotlight.
Before I let you go, just reassure everyone, Krypton Factor, one more season?
Yeah, I think winning like he did in Jebel Ali, he's guaranteed himself another working season. So we won't be retiring him this year.
Fauzi's select roster consists of several well-bred stallions, and it was lovely to see 2014 Al Bastakia and UAE Derby runner-up Asmar, who is clearly thriving in his new life. While Ragas, a son of the great Sadler's Wells, was full of beans and keen to show off. In one of the many barns, we found a happy-looking Karma Chameleon, stalwart of Dubai-based syndicate EERC, who has already picked up a win in his new home. Before leaving Bahrain, we dropped in on legendary trainer Alan Smith in his rather impressive trophy room. Alan is closing in on his 12th Bahrain trainer's title, to add to the one he collected when based in the UAE. Now, back for several years in a place that he clearly loves, Alan and son and assistant Paul gave us a tour of their beautiful facilities, situated just a few minutes' walk from the racecourse. The team might only have managed second in the previous day's Gold Cup with Field of Fame, but they had plenty of other stars to show us, including the ex-UK trained potentate, Crown Prince Cup winner Night and Day, and purebred Arabian Kahalen Al Adiyat 1623, winner of Bahrain's recent Sheikha Fatima bint Mubarak race. Clearly, things are going well for the experienced handler, who imparted some of his wisdom. So I guess congratulations on another successful season. I mean, 11 times champion is quite impressive wherever you are, surely. Are you pleased?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's always an achievement. People think it's easy, when you've got a decent number of horses, but, the local boys, they have some good horses, and, we still have to beat the likes of Fauzi, and Sheikh Abdullah has a good string of horses as well. Yeah.
You do have a lot of horses. I mean, I think people perhaps might not realise the scale of the operation. I mean, sort of tell us how many have you got and who are they owned by and how does it all work?
Well, we generally during the season we have about 80 horses, but at this present moment we've got just over 100 because we have 20 horses come in from our stud every year. So they're the young stock that we're just starting with. They're broken in down there, so we don't have any of that work to do. And then during the summer months, we'll sift out some of the older horses, and they'll go to riding schools and stuff like that. Some we'll use as ponies ourselves, lead horses.
And you also go off to England and other places buying a few in as well?
Yeah, I mean we have a good number of imports. I think we've got about 20 in at the moment, imports, and we replenish those at the July sale and the October sale. And in the past we have bought in places like Argentina and Brazil. Yeah.
From what we've seen yesterday on the racetrack and today, the local breds are nice horses and well able to compete with the imports.
Oh yeah, I mean very often we'll run in import races if we can't find a local bred race from them, and I've had many horses that have won import races at handicap and group level, our group level. And yeah, they're generally nice horses. I always say to Sheikh Mohammed, sometimes he says, oh, you don't want to run, it's too hard for them. I say, they're bred from British mares or Irish mares, and they're by American and English stallions, so they don't know they're local breds. Yes, and they're very competitive. Yeah.
And training-wise, I know you start very early in the morning. How many lots and whereabouts do you actually take them?
Well, we're the furthest stable from the training track, and the training track's on the inside of the racecourse. But so generally we ride one lot over, and then we get the grooms bring the next lot over, and another lot of grooms bring the next lot over. So we do 3 lot shift, and then we'll have a short break. They have a tractor break for the track, and then we do it all again.
Are there any downsides to training here? I mean, you've won everything there is to win. I mean, it seems a great setup, but like you say, it's not always as easy as it looks.
No, it's. I mean, I love it. I always have liked Bahrain. It's nice country, nice people. The local people are nice, and the family. They're just terrific people. Really are very friendly.
In terms of the racing scene here, obviously they put a lot of investment into the track in the last sort of couple of seasons and done quite a lot of sprucing it up. Do you think more needs to be done? Is there perhaps they could do to get Bahrain internationally recognised, or do you just think it's not really necessary?
Well, I mean, Bahrain is, it's unique, and that's the nice thing about it. I mean, they don't like to, sort of show off and flash the cash. They're just generally down-to-earth people, and it's picked up, it's improved. If they want more prize money, they could get it. I mean, there's always plenty of sponsors that are willing to put money into it, and they have over the last few years. They have upped the game, and with that, the racing's got very competitive. The people are buying better horses at the sale. I remember back in the time, we used to buy horses 80, 75 rated, and they'd be good enough. Now, if you're not up in the, low 90s, you're not going to win anything. It is very competitive, and the money really doesn't come into it. But it's just a good place to train. I like the people, I like the setup, and good.
So with all this success, no plans to retire and have an easier life anytime soon?
I don't think they'll let me. I keep threatening, but they keep saying, no, you're leaving Bahrain in a box. So I guess that's it.
Sadly, it was time to leave, but racing in Bahrain remains in good hands. With plans tentatively afoot for more investment and possibly international racing one day, the future looks bright. Oh, and it's less than an hour's flight from Dubai, so why not go and see for yourselves?